Jordan Belfort grew up in a quiet neighborhood in New York. As a child, he lived with his parents in a simple family home. Even at a young age, he became curious about money. During the summer, he started selling Italian ice to neighborhood kids. One by one, customers lined up to buy his drinks. At the end of the day, he happily counted the coins he had earned. The young Belfort making money quickly became an exciting idea. He often talked with friends about different ways to earn more. As he grew older, he focused on studying and preparing for his future. Eventually, he attended university and sat in classrooms like any other student. Surrounded by other students, Belfort began thinking seriously about his career. But deep down, he kept wondering what path would truly lead to success. Standing outside the university building, he thought about his future. For a time, he considered becoming a dentist. He attended dentistry classes and listened carefully to the lectures, but something about the profession did not feel right to him. Soon, he began thinking about leaving dental school. In his mind, he started imagining a completely different future. Instead of dentistry, he became interested in business and finance. While reading financial news, he discovered the world of Wall Street. The idea of the stock market instantly caught his attention. Excited by the possibilities, Belfort decided to explore the financial world. For the first time, he stood in front of the famous Wall Street sign. Soon, he entered a busy brokerage office for the very first time. Inside the office, experienced brokers were constantly making phone calls. He watched carefully as they sold stocks to investors over the phone. Before long, Belfort sat down at a desk to make his own first call. Holding the telephone nervously, he prepared to speak to his first investor. With determination, he practiced delivering his first sales pitch. Slowly but surely, he convinced his first client to buy a stock. After completing the deal, Belfort smiled proudly. He began noticing small stock prices rising on the charts. In his mind, he started imagining a future filled with wealth and success. Soon, he was making phone calls more confidently. Day after day, he worked hard among telephones and stock reports. His confidence grew as he gained experience as a young broker. Standing inside the busy brokerage office, he felt proud of his progress. But Belfort was already thinking much bigger. In his imagination, he dreamed of building a powerful business empire. And this was only the beginning of Jordan Belfort's incredible financial journey. One day, he met an ambitious partner named Danny Porish who shared the same hunger for money. The two men quickly realized they could build something powerful together, so they created a small brokerage firm called Stratton Oakmont. The office was messy, chaotic, and nothing like the professional firms on Wall Street. But Jordan had a vision and began recruiting a strange group of inexperienced young men. Inside the office, he stood in front of them like a coach preparing a team for battle. On the whiteboard, Jordan drew a simple straight line and introduced his famous sales method. He explained that confidence and persuasion were far more important than financial knowledge. Soon, the rookies began practicing their sales calls again and again inside the busy office. The brokerage floor quickly turned chaotic as dozens of brokers started calling investors non-stop. When the first big deals closed, the entire office erupted in celebration. Jordan pointed to a rising stock chart and showed them how their strategy was working. Across the phones, brokers enthusiastically pitched exciting investment opportunities to strangers. Slowly, the stock prices began rising higher and higher. Inside the office, the noise became louder as success fueled everyone's excitement. Every successful sale brought cheers from brokers across the room. Soon, stacks of money began piling up as profits grew rapidly. Jordan gathered his team and delivered another powerful motivational speech. The brokers rushed back to their desks and began dialing phones even faster. On the whiteboard, the arrows on the stock charts continued pointing upward. More investors rushed in, eager to buy the exciting stocks being promoted. The office grew larger as more brokers joined the expanding firm. Stratton Oakmont became louder, faster, and more chaotic every single day. But suddenly, the stock charts began dropping and investors started to panic. Some brokers rushed to sell shares as confused investors demanded answers. Yet Jordan remained calm while the chaos unfolded around him. Meanwhile, enormous profits continued flowing into his empire. Inside the office, wild celebrations with champagne became common. Jordan relaxed confidently while his team continued partying behind him. Yet to the brokers, Jordan was the powerful leader of their empire. The company displayed its wealth proudly with symbols of success everywhere. Jordan often stood above the office floor, observing the unstoppable machine he built. Hundreds of brokers filled the brokerage floor, making deals all day long. Jordan raised his hand and delivered another fiery speech to motivate the team. The brokers returned to their phones with unstoppable energy. Stratton Oakmont had reached the peak of its explosive success. At the center of it all stood Jordan Belfort, surrounded by mountains of money. And for a moment, it truly looked like his empire could never fall. Around him, brokers celebrated huge sales, while papers and money flew through the air. Standing on a desk, Jordan delivered powerful speeches that energized the entire room. Sometimes the celebrations became wild as money and excitement filled the office. Across the trading floor, brokers aggressively called investors, hoping to close another deal. Jordan trained new recruits using his famous straight-line persuasion system. Nervous rookie brokers practiced phone sales while Jordan watched them confidently. He pointed at a rising stock chart and promised even bigger profits ahead. Soon, the entire office became a storm of non-stop phone calls. Jordan himself closed deals confidently while holding large stock orders. Investors everywhere began sending money into the rapidly growing brokerage firm. Inside the office, piles of money kept growing larger every day. At the end of the day, brokers celebrated loudly with champagne. Jordan walked through the office shaking hands with top-performing brokers. The best brokers received massive bonus checks, while coworkers cheered. But unsuccessful brokers quickly disappeared from the high-pressure office. Jordan stood like a powerful leader while rows of brokers admired him. Whenever a huge deal closed, the office erupted with celebration. Outside work, Jordan enjoyed a luxury lifestyle filled with expensive symbols of success. Soon, helicopters and private flights became part of his daily life. On the ocean, Jordan relaxed aboard a massive luxury yacht. Sometimes the yacht turned into a floating party full of celebration. Back home, he walked through a giant mansion filled with luxury decorations. Expensive watches and jewelry showed just how wealthy he had become. Jordan raised champagne while brokers cheered loudly around him. Despite the chaos, the phones never stopped ringing. Outside, the brokerage headquarters became a symbol of financial power. The stock charts continued climbing higher as the office celebrated. At the center of everything, Jordan stood on top of enormous profits. Soon, reporters gathered outside the brokerage building with cameras. Newspapers printed headlines about the rapidly growing financial empire. Inside the office, brokers celebrated again as stock charts glowed. But quietly, a government investigator began studying financial documents. Evidence slowly appeared as suspicious transactions were discovered. Investigators carefully connected the financial records piece by piece. Meanwhile, Jordan continued celebrating his growing wealth. Late at night, investigators studied documents under dim office lights, and slowly, the shadows of investigation began closing in. Jordan Belfort stood confidently inside a luxurious office surrounded by charts and money. Soon, investors began noticing strange news about suspicious stock activities. Meanwhile, investigators quietly started connecting documents and trading patterns. Jordan continued calling clients confidently, promising profits while phones rang endlessly. Inside the office, some employees began worrying about growing investigation rumors. At the same time, federal agents carefully studied financial documents late at night. Inside Stratton Oakmont, nervous brokers quietly whispered while holding phones and paperwork. Not far away, federal agents secretly watched the office through binoculars. Jordan gathered employees and confidently addressed them inside the crowded office. Many brokers still celebrated loudly, believing the money would never stop flowing. But investigators discovered strange spikes appearing across suspicious trading charts.
Across the country, worried investors examined reports showing unexpected financial losses. Meanwhile, Jordan walked through his mansion surrounded by luxury and expensive decorations. His lifestyle displayed yachts, sports cars, and wealth earned during the boom. At the investigation office, agents surrounded desks covered with financial evidence. Late at night, Jordan sat alone reviewing stacks of legal documents. Then, one morning, federal agents arrived and knocked on the mansion door. Inside the house, Jordan looked shocked as investigators entered the room. Back at the brokerage office, employees panicked while authorities searched desks and computers. Soon, Jordan sat across from investigators inside a tense interrogation room. The case eventually moved into a courtroom filled with judges and lawyers. News headlines quickly spread the story of a massive financial scandal. Outside the courthouse, reporters surrounded Jordan with cameras and flashing lights. Inside the courtroom, Jordan listened quietly while the judge announced the verdict. Soon, authorities escorted him down a hallway with cameras watching. Later, Jordan sat alone inside a small prison cell, reflecting silently. During prison nights, he often wrote thoughts and lessons onto paper. Sometimes he remembered the chaotic Stratton Oakmont office, filled with excitement. But eventually, that office became silent, abandoned after the scandal collapsed. Meanwhile, many investors sadly reviewed papers showing devastating financial losses. Behind prison bars, Jordan often stared outward, thinking about his choices. Time passed slowly as calendar pages seemed to disappear one by one. Finally, the prison gates opened and Jordan stepped outside again. Soon, he began a new chapter, speaking on stage to audiences. People listened carefully as he shared lessons about persuasion and business. Jordan explained sales strategies while pointing toward diagrams behind him. Audience members wrote notes while studying the ideas he presented. After each seminar, Jordan smiled while shaking hands with attendees. Sometimes he quietly reflected on both his success and mistakes. In his mind, two paths appeared: greed or redemption. Jordan finally chose to walk forward along the path of redemption. Soon, he stood confidently under bright lights before another audience. In that moment, the story became about lessons rather than wealth, and Jordan Belfort continued walking forward toward a completely new chapter.